Hello, here's Movie Fanatic Nate coming at you to continue this is like a several year long process, to continue my reviews of the Home Alone movies, and this time I'm, having seen for the first time and reviewed 3 last year. I've actually, throughout the course of this year, managed to pick up the rest of them, 4 and 5, so I'm, coming at you to review those this season, if you will. But right now I'm coming at you to review the next installment after 3, which is, I think they pretty much stopped using numbers at this point, and this is what I got, I think, well, it looks like possibly March of this year, which I wish I would have gotten before because it actually has both 3 and 4, but I got this at Half Price Books for $2, which features 3 and 4 on 2 discs. So I'm coming at you to review this one, Home Alone Taking Back the House, or Home Alone 4, whatever, but that's what I'm reviewing now. So, having seen all of the Home Alone movies that are currently in existence, I can definitively say that this movie, in my opinion, is the absolute worst of the Home Alone films. I found this to be just completely and totally just, oh my gosh, just worse than 2, which is kind of a stretch. Basically, for the very first time, which I thought was a really stupid choice for them to do, because Home Alone 3 was a new kid, obviously, and I don't believe it was Kevin McAllister. I think it was a new kid, new family, new name and everything, and for whatever reason the people who made this movie thought, oh, let's do something really cool. We'll just get a new kid and we'll call him Kevin, it'll be the Macaulay Culkin character from the first 2 movies, and it'll be Kevin McAllister and his older brother Buzz and sister, whatever the hell her name is, and the McAllisters. And I just thought, that's just so stupid. I mean, obviously no one in this movie is anyone from the first couple movies or anything, so it's just so stupid to me to do that first off the bat was really stupid. And I thought the casting of his dad in this movie was absolutely stupid as well. This guy who was like more suited to play some mafia crime boss or something like that, or Goodfellas 2 or something like that. Would have been better casting for the guy who plays his dad in this movie. Mom's fine or whatever, but that's one of the things first off the bat was really disappointing. It's just like the McAllisters are back and completely like recast, and how do you replace Buzz from the first movie? I imagine he's in this. I can't remember if he's in the second one or not, but you can't replace these characters, these John Hughes characters. And when they say the word Buzz, and it's just like you see this other doofy kid, it's just like, yeah, whatever, that's not Buzz. So, yeah, so it should be said that off the bat, that's really stupid. And what's even stupider, or not stupider, but what's also stupid is the movie starts with, oh, Kevin's parents are separated and Dad's out of the house, and, it's just Mom and Kevin and his 2 siblings living at home, and Dad has since met. It's only been 9 months since they split up or whatever, or got separated, and Dad since met this super rich chick who's got this smart mansion, if you will. And this movie came out in 2003, and it's like, it's interesting that even back then they're basically used the terminology, I can't remember, but smart was a word used. And I don't remember hearing smart, anything really until later. But so basically this rich chick who his dad is now basically, getting on with, and, going to potentially get engaged with to or whatever, has this smart house. And it should be said also that this is, I think, the only one out of all 5 of them that basically takes place in clearly just shot in California, and is basically a snowless. All of the Home Alone movies incidentally take place around Christmas, and this is the only one, I think, that is basically a snowless Christmas, and clearly filmed in California. And I think they even say something like, oh, the weather's unseasonably warm for this time of year, that's why there's no snow, or some crap like that. I always wondered why, there's 5 Home Alones, and why they all have to take place around Christmas. Having seen 4 and 5 just recently for the very first time, I was kind of finding myself wondering, what would have been a really cool thing to do with one of them is to have them do a different season. Have one take place around Halloween. That would be a great time to, spook burglars and stuff with Halloween gimmick, and you can do one during, Thanksgiving and Easter. I mean, there's so few movies that take place around Easter. St. Patrick's Day, whatever, but it's, I would have thought that, I guess it just became so much of a tradition for Home Alone movies to take place around Christmas that all of them do tend to do that, but this one being from the Midwest myself and just generally liking to see snow in Christmas movies just to give you that, I guess, authentic winter feel that I'm used to. I always just hate it when the Christmas movie is just, basically there's no snow. So basically the plot of this movie is, as always, his kids are left home alone, but in this case, home alone at his house, and in this case, his siblings are driving him nuts and, picking on him and bullying him, and dad, soprano dad gave him a standing invitation to come visit him at the mansion, the smart house, with his new, girlfriend or whatever. So after a few hours of being bullied by his siblings, he basically takes a cab over to the smart mansion and, meets, I don't know if it's the first time he's meeting the girlfriend or what, doesn't matter. Basically goes into the smart mansion and, this guy's the butler, the guy from, Stargate, with the candy bar or whatever, that guy's in every other movie and you're just sick of seeing him too. And he's the butler and this other woman's the maid, and basically, I guess being the first Home Alone to basically come out in the 21st century, this is kind of like the 21st century version of Home Alone. In theory, if I was presented, on paper, the idea of like the smart mansion might have been a good idea and a new twist, 21st century twist on a Home Alone movie, but in my opinion, they barely use kind of the smart house idea, and the smart house being like they've got these remotes they talk into, or instead of doing something which is much easier like opening the door themselves, they raise the remote to their mouth and go, door open, and then the door, every single thing that they normally do with their own appendage in a house, it's like start fire, curtains open, music on, and it's just like, dress me, wipe my ass. So it's just absolutely ridiculous. So they're setting up this smart house thing, and it's like vacuum or clean yourself, and the house has this internal vacuum and it just sucks out the debris of the whatever, was it fireplace or whatever. So they're setting up this smart house thing thinking that, there's really going to pay off and be really cool, when in my opinion, out of all of the 5 Home Alone movies that currently exist, I think it's like the hijinks stuff and the trap stuff that he sets for the two, in this movie, it's these two characters. Basically, not only do the McAllisters return, but Marv, obviously no longer played by, what's his name, Joe Pesci, is now played by this guy who's constantly during the movie has to go like this, or what, I can't do it luckily, but for some reason they have him just going like, and basically, so basically the bandits in this movie, and one of the cool things about it is they are kind of driving that same van that they drove in the first movie. But, so it is the character of Marv coming back, played by obviously someone completely different, and his wife, whom he met in prison. And the one cool thing about this movie is that, to be fair, they are, Marv and his wife are now singling out this, rich house. Oh, that's the plot of this movie. This rich woman is just well connected with all these well-to-do whatevers, and some prince, royal family, like she keeps saying, and is coming to visit or stay with her or something. And so basically, the Marv and his wife's plan for this movie, the act of criminality, if you will, is they're going to kidnap the prince and hold him for ransom or some crap like that. So to be fair, it's not like Marv is targeting the McAllisters again, which is probably one of the only creative choices that makes any sense in this movie, where it just so happens that Kevin McAllister, which is kind of stupid if you really think about it, just so happens that Kevin McAllister is at this place, at this smart mansion where these Marv and his now criminal wife are, I thought there were man prisons and female prisons. How the hell does a man meet a woman in prison? It's just another thing that's just absolutely stupid. So, so Kevin just happens to be there to foil yet again Marv's plan to kidnap the prince to hold him for ransom, presumably, or whatever. So, what a bunch of malarkey. It should be said that the music in this movie is absolutely just like Gumby you know how Gumby just had this synthesizer, just music, whatever. I mean, it's like the people who wrote the music for Gumby did the music for this. It's just like, oh my gosh. Probably, in my opinion, probably the best scene of the movie early on, towards the middle of the movie, when Marv and his wife first try to break in. I don't think anyone's there. Well, that's another thing that should be said. I don't think he's ever home alone in this movie, and to call this movie Home Alone makes no sense because it doesn't take place at his home. So the title really, like Friday 13th, so many of the Friday 13th sequels don't even take place on Friday 13th. It's kind of like he's not even home and he's not even alone. So like all the time there's like always someone else in the house because it's a big mansion. There's always like the butler and the maid and stuff. And it should be said that, what I was saying before is I'm all over the place. Probably one of the standout scenes of whatever when the Marv and his wife try to break in is when they end up, I can't remember how they break in and they're getting a layout for the place so they know, the layout for when they come back to kidnap the prince, and somehow they end up in the bathroom or whatever, and Kevin, there's this super fancy schmancy, jet shower thing with all these super high powered jets, like you'd want to blow your body with all that crap. But somehow the bandits, we'll just call them the bandits, end up in the and they didn't even do this joke. They actually end up, of course they don't call them the wet bandits in this movie, but they could have made a funny joke when Kevin basically just blasts these two with the water and basically floods the house early on in the movie. And this is it looks really, probably a lot of work went into doing it, because although it looked like there was some CG enhancement in a couple shots or whatever, this looked all real, and the whole set was like flooded where you've got like a half a foot of water or whatever, and the two criminals come sliding down the stairs or whatever, completely just in this gushing flow of water or whatever. So that's probably, in my opinion, the best kind of event scene in the movie, which ironically is not even towards the end. That's more in the middle of the movie. Other than that, the whole rest of the movie is really forgettable. We find out that either the butler, there's, Kevin McAllister, the butler's all just I'm trying not to swear in a PG movie, review for a PG movie, but the butler's just a jerk, and Kevin assumes that there's an inside help with this, their plans to kidnap the prince, and most of the movie that Kevin thinks it's the butler, and obviously the butler seems like he's the inside help, only to find out later on that it's the maid who's actually the inside help, and she's not only the inside help, she's Marv's mom, so that's even, better inside help, family crime or whatever. So this maid is Marv's mom, and of course Marv isn't even Marv, he's not even played by Joe Pesci, and so Marv and his wife, who we met in prison, which would be absolutely impossible unless, his wife was born a man, which judging, looking at her in the movie, maybe it is the case, because, yeah. So that's the movie, this big huge plot of Marv and his wife want to kidnap this prince and hold him for ransom or whatever, and I can't even remember anything really besides just that big flood that is kind of, later on, Kevin will fly a remote control plane into Marv's crotch or whatever, stuff like that. But I can remember a couple cool gags as far as like the last quarter of this movie and the Kevin versus the intruders, if you will. I can remember there being a few, but I think probably the least amount of what I would regard as successful gags in all of the 5 Home Alone movies in this one. It's just, for me, this movie completely falls flat and is really difficult, to be honest, to get through. And I think it's not even 90 minutes. I think it's more like 85 minutes or something like that, or maybe 90 with 5 or 6 minutes of credits or whatever. So I found the movie to be particularly difficult to get through. Obviously, towards the end of the movie, Kevin McAllister's dad's girlfriend becomes more and more, I think they can say bitchy on TV, so I'll have no problem saying bitchy in this review. Just becoming more bitchy and just more of a cold-hearted bitch. And obviously, at the end of the movie, Dad ends up breaking off the whatever engagement relationship with this rich girlfriend to come back happy ending with mom and the McAllisters are back together, and because they never were divorced, they were just separated or whatever, so it's easier to get back together that way. Not that people should be wasting time and money getting married in the first place, but that's another topic. So I guess that's pretty much it in what I would regard to be the most, the least interesting and the most annoying Home Alone movies out of the 5. Home Alone Taking Back the House will get a whopping 3/4 of a star out of 4 stars from me. To be honest, I don't know why I'm going that high. Maybe it's more like a 1/2 star or a 1/4 star out of 4 stars. I find just so much about this movie to be completely and totally off. Dad is completely miscast. You know, no snow. Smart House is just stupid. Marv Beck, played by someone who's like so completely young and completely different, so stupid. Marv having a wife who we met in prison, so stupid. The music so stupid. Smart House so stupid. Just like everything stupid. I particularly found the kid in this movie to be kind of annoying, and it seems almost like it was a girl with short hair. I mean, I don't know, maybe it is. I didn't really research the kid who played the Kevin McAllister in this movie, but I don't know. It just looks like it could potentially be a girl with short hair, but yeah, I mean, I think Home Alone 3 was the last movie, which I didn't know at the time, but then when I saw it, I probably mentioned this last year in my review of it, that it was actually produced, I think, and written by John Hughes, which was surprising at the time. And I incorrectly, doing that review, I had assumed that that movie just was straight to video at the time, but apparently Home Alone 3 was the last one to be played in a theater. But this one, you know, coming out in 2003, I think, was well after John Hughes, I think, was done doing stuff. I can't even remember when he was purported to have died. Maybe it was this one even came out after he was purported to have died. But yeah, in my opinion, don't waste your time with Home Alone 4 or Home Alone Taking Back the House, as it were. So thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.